Good morning, everyone. As my presentation is being loaded, I just thought I'd take a few minutes to introduce myself. My name is Kwame Rugunda, and I'm from Uganda. And when I say I'm from Uganda, I mean it. I arrived about 45 minutes ago. And it's been a long trip, to say the least. So I'm delighted to be here with brothers and sisters in the blockchain community in the United States and around the world. Now, I'll just make a few brief remarks because I'm waiting for my presentation to come up. I had the privilege of meeting Atire Leng, as well as John, as well as Sinclair Skinner, a few months ago in Uganda. We hosted Africa's largest event, Africa's largest conference on blockchain technology. And this was in the month of May. Now, coincidentally, the largest event on blockchain in the world had just happened in New York City, Consensus 2018. And a week later, the largest blockchain event in Africa happened in Kampala, Uganda, the Africa Blockchain Conference. Now, what was very great about this was that we had about 800 people from 23 countries around the world gathered together to address the role of blockchain technology in Africa's transformation. We had a sitting head of state of Uganda. We had a former head of state of Mauritius, Her Excellency Dr. Amina. And it was a tremendous event. And from that event, we were able to hold hands with many other African countries that are doing things in relation to blockchain. And I can tell you that the continent is on fire in relation to blockchain. And the more we can hold hands with each other, the more we can do. There's a lot that can be done to hold hands across the world to uplift a people out of a situation. Because the world, there's a reset button, as we all know. When an amazing new technology dawns, like blockchain has, it presents an opportunity to start afresh. And now that we have a fresh start, a fresh opportunity for transformation, let us hold hands and get it done right this time in history. History doesn't always present these opportunities, but now it has, and we are conscious about it. So let us make sure to hold hands and we do it right. What I'm going to speak to you about is demystifying blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And as we start, I'll ask a question. Who of us thinks that blockchain requires demystifying? Is it something mysterious? Is it something mystic? So through this presentation, I hope to take you through 3 questions. Is it mysterious in the first place? Okay? How should we demystify it? And why should we demystify? So to demystify infers that there is actually something mysterious. Do we think, I posed this question, that blockchain is mysterious? And if you think about it, the founder is not known, really. Okay? Satoshi Nakamoto is not. Has any one of you met Satoshi? Aha, thank you. That's right. I heard that there's a CNN reporter. This is breaking news. So the fact that we are in an industry where the founder, the author, the brains behind are not really known makes it something mysterious. But what makes it even more mysterious is ourselves in the industry. We, the preachers, we the ones who are speaking about it, speak in strange terms that are codified. We speak in code. And that doesn't help society understand what this is. Therefore, we originate the mystery, we perpetuate it, and it is our responsibility to demystify it. Is it mysterious? Satoshi Nakamoto could be the guy on the left. Now that we're in Washington, D.C. Satoshi Nakamoto could be the guy in the middle. or Satoshi Nakamoto could be our sister here on the right side. So we do not know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. But the good thing is when I saw the t-shirt saying Satoshi is black, there's the component of Satoshi is black, but there's another important component. It doesn't say Satoshi was black. This means Satoshi is alive, right? Now, Bitcoin was more searched for than Beyonce in 2018, Q2. But more importantly, it was the second most searched word on Google in 2017. So it is mysterious, and people are trying to unravel this mystery by searching. They spend time on the internet trying to understand it. Investopedia, #1 searched word in 2017, Bitcoin. #2 searched word in 2017, blockchain. This says a lot. It tells us that people are deeply looking to understand what this thing is. So is it mysterious? I believe the answer is yes. US Senator Thomas Carper recently said, and I quote, "Virtual currencies, perhaps most notably Bitcoin, have captured the imagination of some." That's one. "Struck fear among others, and they've confused the heck out of the rest of us." Now, what he's saying is real and it's true, but we have a duty to make sure that this doesn't persist, confusing the heck out of the rest of us. The ones who are going to change it is ourselves, those who have been privileged to have some understanding. I mentioned to you that the president of Uganda spoke at our conference, and he said something very profound. He challenged those of us who were in the room who claimed to know something about blockchain. And he said, you people should stop calling these things ledgers. You should speak in the language of our ordinary people and call them record books. Therefore, the challenge is us. The charge is upon us. Those of us who have some knowledge, those of us who are gathered in this room, it is us to demystify this thing. Let's stop using our jargon. Let's get out of our high towers and speak in the language of ordinary citizens. And this is what the head of state of Uganda was charging us. And it's a charge that we embrace because it's a privilege to know something, and it's a duty to translate it into language and understanding of ordinary people. Now, let us move from the known to the unknown. If we could analogize what blockchain is, the thing that we could probably consider is the internet. And for those of you who may have had some knowledge at the time, when we're talking to people about the internet in its early days, we would not talk to them about TCP/IP protocols or DNS root servers or any of this jargon that techies use. Are there any techies in the house? There we go. Any of this jargon. Because that doesn't help. What we need to show someone is go to google.com, create an email account, and that is how we can relate to people. Now, if I'm to similarly analogize between what is known to what is unknown, the internet, as rudimentarily as we can talk about it, is analogous to blockchain. We're talking about networks, okay? And if the internet is about exchange of information, at its most basic level, blockchain can similarly be described as a platform, as a network for exchange of value. This is so important because the limitations that the internet has, particularly around things that are more than just information, blockchain has been enabled to do, enables us to do. And this is truly revolutionary because this had been a puzzle for so many people since the dawn of the internet. And I'll show a quote at the end of this presentation from the president of Mauritius at the time, a scientist by training. Now, going through the analogies, if internet is analogous to blockchain, exchange of information is analogous to exchange of value, and the applications of the internet that we can show people, which is really what makes sense. You need to engage people where they are, explain to them, show them what email is, show them what Facebook is, show them how to use applications. Similarly, we have the same charge, the same duty within this new world of blockchain. Show people, don't explain to them the details of how crypto works. I mean, it's very confusing, but it's a very powerful concept once we can show people how it works. Make people realize that they can transfer money from here to Botswana, to Kazakhstan instantly. Let them appreciate these things, and that is how they will want to know more. That is how they will engage with it. We can't start talking to people about the details of the technology, the stuff that we get hung up on. Similarly, smart contracts and ICOs. Make people appreciate these things. This is how we're going to demystify what blockchain and cryptocurrencies are. Let them see it for themselves at work. In demystifying, I'll just say a few things as I wrap up. You know, if you want to understand something like the Bible, for instance, you open it up in the beginning, and in Genesis it says, in the beginning was the Word. Okay? In this space where we are, we need to start from the beginning. And the beginning was the famous 2008 white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, who's at the back, right? We acknowledge you, sir. Now, this famous white paper has to be the starting place. But similarly, let's not get hung up on the jargon. Let's endeavor to simplify it as much as possible. And because the community here already knows what this is, I won't delve a lot into it. But the important lesson here is at the end of the 2008 financial crisis, a white paper was released into a community of cryptographers. The abstract from the white paper highlights a few key words that really define the attributes of what blockchain technology is. And I've circled them in red. Some of those words include peer-to-peer. It says a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash. And it goes on and on, talking about how one does not need to go through a central bank, a central authority. It talks about concepts like double spending, hashing, an ongoing chain, things that cannot be changed, and so on. But these attributes make blockchain as profound as it is. And for those out of the computer science community, I'll just explain this concept of double spending because it's a very powerful one. Double spending, who doesn't know what double spending is? Let me start from there. Great. Now, double spending is this. In information, we can actually digitally convey it. But when something is of value, it cannot be conveyed digitally. And the reason it cannot be conveyed digitally is because someone has no guarantee that I have kept a copy of that value or given it to someone else. And that is the reason why we can exchange information electronically, but we cannot exchange money electronically. So if, for instance, this is something valuable digitally, okay? In the physical world as we know it, everyone can see me give this gadget to him like this, and you can receive it. And he can receive it, and you can see that I do not have it in my hand, okay? But in the digital world, that has been a challenge for a long time. It has been a challenge because if I give him, he cannot be sure if I've retained a copy. And that is the reason why Napster exploded, for instance. And the whole new economy arose around counterfeit CDs and music and movies, etc. So digital information gets pirated. And so many people, artists and IP owners, are cheated. So that is the problem of double spend. But because of Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper and the inventions and attributes that blockchain presents, this problem for the first time in history has been cracked. And I'd like to just add that many people had endeavored to try to make sense and crack it, but they couldn't since the 90s. Cryptographers were doing it over and over again. But finally, Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper resolves it. Peer-to-peer, meaning things can actually be transferred from one person to another directly without going through any form of central intermediary. This as well is revolutionary. Central banks and many other central bodies are wondering what their new place is going to be like in this new dispensation. And the reality is that they will have relevance. Anyone will have relevance in the new dispensation. People shouldn't be afraid that they'll be done away with. We just need to find our relevance in the new dispensation. Just like the post office had to find its relevance in the new dispensation when email came. The fact that it's decentralized is another major attribute of blockchain technology. There's no need to go through a central authority. This, again, is revolutionary, but it applies and operates through decentralized networks. And I'm trying not to get into technical stuff, but I'll allude to them. Because these are just highlights of the concept paper, of this white paper that was released in 2008. And this is probably the last one I'll speak about. Hashing is one of the types of technologies, one of the components of security that blockchain has. It's the most secure platform that at least has been considered so far. And since the time the network has been up, it has not been down for a nanosecond. Now, this hasn't happened before in history. And the security attributes that blockchain has make it of great interest to those in the cybersecurity space. So in demystifying, I would encourage everyone to just take a look at this paper. Don't get hung up on the jargon, but just go through it. It's a short page, about 7 pages, and the author is in the back. So in the event that you need further explanation, yeah. So it's a short paper, but it will enable you to appreciate some of these concepts. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the more we know about something, the more we can explain it, but importantly, explain it in ordinary language. Like the president of Uganda challenged us. Don't call these things ledgers. Speak in the language of ordinary people. Call them record books. Call them what they are. As I wrap up, I'll just quote from the lady I mentioned who attended our event, Her Excellency Dr. Amina, who would like to encourage the organizers of this event to consider inviting her next year. I hope they've heard. Now, the reason why I'm encouraging this is because she was a leader of she was a political leader, but also is sound scientifically, and is using blockchain currently in Mauritius for their intellectual property. Because Mauritius, like many countries and islands around the world, has a lot of plants, a lot of plant species. And unless this intellectual property is protected, it will be stolen. And so she's working using blockchain to preserve it. And this is a quote from her. Blockchain is perhaps the biggest innovation in computer science to date. We have experienced the first generation of digital revolution that gave us the Internet of Information. This second generation, which is powered by blockchain, is bringing us the Internet of value. So it's important that we understand it. It's important that we enable other people to understand it. It's important that we demystify it, because by demystifying it, it will both be embraced and understood by society. Let us make it understood and as applicable as possible. Let us together embrace the challenge and the responsibility to demystify blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And the reason is, the only way the world will embrace and adapt and consider this next generation of Internet of Value is once they understand it. And that is our duty together. I thank you.